This is Celtic Notes from Wales Radio International, a weekly look at news, views and music of Wales.
Wales Radio International, Radio Run, Radio Cymru.
Hello, I'm Jenny O'Brien. Today we find out about humongous fungus and go to a Noson Lawen. A Noson Lawen is a merry evening of music and friendship, in this instance between two choirs. Green Mountain College Choir from Pulteney in Vermont, USA, who were in Wales on a Celtic Heritage concert tour. While in Carmarthenshire, they were hosted by Cantorion y Rhyd. The two choirs met for an informal gathering in a converted barn just below Castell Carreg-Cennen. Well, the conductor and founder of Cantorion y Rhyd is Dr. Howell Lewis. It's a mixed choir. What sort of music do you sing?
We sing everything, quite honestly. We have a very wide range of music. It ranges from the classical to, in fact, the popular. As long as it's music which appeals to a wide audience, we sing it. Porth y Rhyd, the village, it's where the first meeting was held. I decided to get a few people together just to see if they wanted to form a choir. Now, Cantorion y Rhyd actually isn't only about Porth y Rhyd, because soon after forming the choir, people wanted to come from elsewhere in Carmarthenshire, and they also come from Rhydaman, which is Ammanford. We actually call it Cantorion y Rhyd, which is the Rhyd in Porth y Rhyd and the Rhyd in Rhydaman.
Now, your choir are hosting the American choir over here. Is this something you do often, or is this a new venture?
We are, in fact, twinned with two choirs already. One choir, which is in the Basque region of Spain, and the other, which is in Sandhausen, Germany. And we do actually travel quite a bit. But this is a new venture via Mary Jones, who in fact was the conductor of Adlais and Coran maybe on a Penryn. And she asked, in fact, since they were coming south, if we in fact would be hosts for the evening. But it has actually developed a bit further. Obviously, we've become good friends. And we may well be actually going to America next year anyway, hopefully. And since we're actually flying into New York and working our way north up to Niagara Falls in Canada, we obviously would be going through Vermont, and there is a possibility we'll have a concert there.
So this is the start of a beautiful friendship.
I certainly hope so, yes.
chairman of the Visual Performing Arts of the Green Mountain College, Mark Parsons, who's brought the choir over here. Now, Mark, this Celtic Heritage Tour.
This is the second tour of the choir to Wales. We came in 1998 when the choir was very young. This tour has been in progress for about a year and a half in planning. We had obvious setbacks after September the 11th and lost our first bookings, but the choir was determined and their parents were supportive, so we were able to make new arrangements and be here. So this is our second tour of Wales. Polney, Vermont is situated on the New York and Vermont border in the Slate Valley. That area was settled by Welsh immigrants in the 1800s who came from Wales and settled there because of the slate quarries. And if you drove through our area of the country in Vermont, you would immediately think that you were in North Wales by the slate slag heaps and all the quarries that are there. The president of the college, Dr. Thomas Benson, asked me in 1994 if I would consider building a choir to perform in Welsh in celebration and honor of the Welsh settlers who settled the valley originally. So we have a Welsh Heritage program and a Welsh Heritage Center at the college with a festival every fall, and the choir is the only college choir in America that has a standing repertoire in the Welsh language.
Well, this is pretty brilliant. You have the repertoire, but do you have the language? I mean, are you learning it as in sounds and vowels and consonants, or are you learning it with an understanding?
We are initially learning it as a phonetic language. I have taken the opportunity to look at the words and learn the phonetics enough to pronounce the language correctly, and we've had the benefit of some good help from friends in Wales and also friends in the States. I teach the students the songs in Welsh phonetically. I've not given them a lot of the words and translations intentionally because I want them to sing the songs for the beauty of the music initially, and the interpretation comes later. On this trip, different from the last in 1998, this trip of 2002, this choir is much more ambitious and have taken a much greater interest in learning the language itself. So we've got students who have got phrase books and the alphabets and are actually trying to learn to say phrases. Every one of the students you'll talk with later is up teaching new words and phrases to the choir. So I see a lot of ambition in the choir at this point.
Clubs and groups within the school, and I came up and told them that I sang in high school, the high school chorus group and a group that did madrigal songs, and I came up and immediately talked to Mark and joined the choir, and I've loved it ever since. It's great.
Are you enjoying learning a new language for singing? Because I suppose a lot of singers learn Italian and German to sing, but Welsh, how are you getting on with that?
Well, yeah, I took Italian as a class in high school, and so a lot of, the classic romantic languages I have pretty much no problem with, but something like Welsh, where it takes a more Germanic almost, but really, I don't know, it's different. That's what I have to say, yeah. But it's really a lot of fun. I like the Welsh language.
And we were approached with a thick folder of our Welsh repertoire. I had never sang in Welsh before, but I'd sang in several different languages, in Italian and in French and in other Latin and German. But Welsh is by far the hardest thing I took on. But Mark teaches us phonetically, and he breaks things down. Before us, we've got third and fourth year students who know the Welsh and who teach it to us in groups, and they break it down for us. It becomes easier to pick up, and as it comes along, and it's so great to be able to sing it to people in Wales who understand us and to be able to communicate to them, because we don't really have any idea what we're saying, but to be able to see the looks on their face when we sing things, when we sing Diadem and we're singing My Cariad, and to see these people's faces and to realize that we're touching them even though, we might not understand. They do, and we're crossing barriers that way.
Well, Pulteney in Vermont has a Welsh link because of the slate industry and the settlers who went over there to work there in centuries past. Are you aware of this?
In Pulteney, there's still people who speak Welsh in Vermont, which is kind of odd, seeing as though there are people in Wales who don't even speak Welsh. But yes, it is known in the community. We have a day that we devote, or a weekend actually at our college, that we devote to Welsh heritage, and we celebrate and we try to bring a little bit of the culture into the town and into the area.
I came to the college wanting to play in a jazz band. I never really sang in a choir before. It was never part of my deal. I was always into instrumentalists. And then I met Mark Parsons, and ever since then, he's like, "You're going to sing for me." So I was like, well, I'll try to sing for you, and start singing. And then we had the Welsh repertoire, and I looked at him, and I was like, well, I don't know Welsh repertoire. I can't speak Welsh. And I worked on it, and with the influence of other older members of the choir, and I got to know it. I got to learn to love it, and then I'm here now in Wales now, and it's an experience in its own, because I actually understand some of the translation and the words that we do sing. So for me, it's more of a sentimental thing, because my father has a little bit of Welsh in him. He's also English and Irish, so from this area. My last name is Hopkins. I mean, it's obviously a little part of
being here. It's just been overwhelming, because one of our first concerts here, after our Welsh set, both choirs and even a part of the audience stood up and gave us a standing ovation. It just really touched my heart, and it was very warming. We were very welcomed here, and just we felt like we were one. We were Welsh, like we weren't Americans. We were Welsh here, so it's just very overwhelming for me. But ever since I've been here, I've just been embracing myself and the culture and the language. As Mark is saying, I'm the one who comes on the bus every morning with the new couple of phrases, and I have remembered that I'm trying to use them as much as possible. So, I've been just trying to become as much Welsh as possible, as I should say.
Well, you're now here in T Castell, which is the farm of Castell Carrick-Kennen, the castle on the hill. Do you know anything about that? Have you seen it?
Today went down in the caves, and it was just interesting how the Welsh castles had much more of a story behind them than many of the English and Roman castles. So it was, to be honest, I like the Welsh castles better because they had more of a meaning, which is like the music we sing. We understand the meaning and the sentiment behind it. So it's kind of like, hand in hand.
So what's going to be the lasting memory you take back home?
I would have to say seeing people's faces when I come up to them, say something in Welsh, and they look at me, they try to understand what I say at first, and then they answer smilingly, and that's what I think I'll take back with me and cherish forever.
Friendship,
and then some beyond friendship. I think it's more of a family more than friendship, because you take a piece of them, and they take a piece of us along with them with every meeting we have. So I would say more family than friendship.
Speak for them without even having to ask them, and say, I told them weeks and weeks ago that when they came to Wales and experienced something like this evening, that they would go back changed people. They would not be the same after having been here. Besides the fact that your beer is stronger, besides the fact that they can drink it legally here, besides the fact that they have worked so hard, and I want to tell you, this choir rehearses an ungodly amount of hours in order to do this. We started school on the 22nd of January. All the repertoire, except for the Welsh that you see listed on the program, has been learned since that time and memorized. With the exception of Saturday and Friday of every week for the last 6, they've rehearsed sometimes 3 to 4 hours a day. At night, in the middle of the day. Sopranos, altos, women together, men together, full choir at 8:45 at night. And it's actually made a big difference. But the difference is singing for you, because your language to us is many things. We may not understand it all, but we know what is beautiful, and we know how it translates when we hear and see you sing it, and then when you respond to us singing it. So we thank you for allowing us to share the beauty of your language. And we're going to close with... Calon Lan. Both choirs singing together close our highlights of the Noson Lawn at Castell Carrick-Kennan Farm Centre. You also heard Cantorian Rhyd sing A Cyfan sydd gennyf yw roi, All I Have to Give, and Am Brydferddwch dair lawr, For the Beauty of the Earth, followed by the Green Mountain College Choir with Mae deisiau di bob awr, I Need You Every Hour, and Molianwn, Spring Praise. You're listening to Celtic Notes from Wales Radio International. Wales is a land where you can experience the difference. Castles with nearly 1,000 years of history. Steam trains that tackle mountains or lazily chug through tranquil valleys. Canal boats that drift along peaceful waterways. Cycleways that take to forest and coastal trails. Farmers' markets with local produce and homemade cakes. Mountains and moorlands where you can make tracks along paths that really do get away from it all, with the natural beauty of the scenery and the wildlife for company. Sounds good? Here's an invitation to all Celtic Notes listeners from the Wales Tourist Board. Log on to www.celticnotes.visitwales.com and register your name and address for a special Wales pack, which will be sent to you free of charge wherever you are in the world. Come and visit and find out for yourself what it is that makes Wales such a special place.
I just love Cardiff.
Yes, I enjoy going to Cardiff a lot. Well, I tend to go there and shop. I also always know I can get a good meal.
Such an eclectic mix now. It's not just traditional Welsh food, which is brilliant in itself, but we're also seeing wonderful restaurants like Thai. So we've got Thai cuisine, we've got Turkish, Indian, Chinese, French, Italian. It's just lovely. And the food just speaks for itself, you know.
Eating out in Cardiff is great.
350 pubs in the city. We're spoilt for choice.
Pop concerts are my buzz. In the park, the stadium, or the castle, I just love them. Any festival gives me a kick. Seasonal, street, even cup finals give the city a festive air.
Classical concerts are for me.
I do enjoy going to the opera, which I do regularly.
I love musicals.
I'm looking forward to the Festival of Musical Theatre, which is opening, I believe, in October.
A festival is essentially a celebration. Cardiff is a place, a city, a modern, very vibrant city, an ideal place to celebrate anything. Cardiff, city of festivals. Whatever it is that you want to celebrate, you come here and do it. The capital city of Wales.
It's such a young capital. You have to be there.
In Cardiff, Europe's youngest capital.
Well, the business here in the Brecon Beacons National Park has a fascinating name. Just see the name and it arouses curiosity. Humongous Fungus. And it's run by a husband and wife team, Richard and Joy Edwards. And we're with Joy in a room that is humid, hot, and has lots of strange packages on shelves round the walls. Joy, what's going on here?
We're creating mushroom spawn. It starts off as tiny slivers of mushroom taken from wild specimens, and from that we can produce what you see here, which is bottles of grain spawn and bags of sawdust spawn. The sawdust spawn is destined to go into logs, which will, after a year to a year and a half, produce mushrooms.
These must be very special.
They are very special, yes. Some of them will be familiar to people from the woods around. Some of them are native and they're taken from as close to our factory here as we can. Others are right at the other end of the scale, are exotic mushrooms. So we've got shiitake mushrooms from China and Japan. We've got namiko, which is the second most popular mushroom in Japan. And then also we've got things that people know like oyster mushrooms.
And they are organic?
They're all produced without chemicals. We aren't actually certified here because there are something like 2 organic woodlands in Wales, and the Soil Association don't seem to be able to tell us where they are. So they're not organic, but they are produced entirely without chemicals, and the wood is from, again, as local a source as we can. We get it from about 300 yards down the road.
Now then, all these extraordinary mushrooms, what do you do with them? I assume a lot of them get eaten and put on our dinner tables.
Yes, and a lot of what we produce is actually spawn for the home grower. A lot of this here, in fact most of this here, is ordered by people who want to produce mushrooms at home. We're very, very keen on the idea of people being able to grow food that is as fresh as possible and as local as possible. And so we operate a mail order service for people who want to buy spawn off us. And as I say, most of this is ordered.
But you do grow them commercially yourself so that you send to the local shops or what?
We have done, and we will again, but as we've just moved to this site here, so we're not actually in production on site yet. So by the summertime, yes, we'll be back into it again with mushrooms here for local shops. And again, coming back to the idea of local food, we're very much into producing for local shops and farmers markets and that kind of thing. There's a good farmers market in Brecon, and that's one of our key target areas.
Well, I should say at this point, I mentioned that we're in the Brecon Beacons National Park, but we're really sort of halfway between Llandelo and Llandovery, still in Carmarthenshire.
Yes, we're in Llandaisen. We live here and we work here. We were very, very fortunate when this property came on the market to be able to buy a place that's so close to home, and also to be able to bring back into use a site that hadn't been used for some time. We're managing the whole site so that we will not only produce mushrooms and spawn in the factory, but we've already been working on the land so that the whole of the land is coming back to life. We've got gardens for vegetables coming at the top of the land. We've got Derwydd daffodils growing that haven't been seen here for some time. And really the whole place is coming alive.
And as far as growing is concerned, you've got a sort of almost a farmers' cooperative, haven't you, using local farmers to produce the mushrooms for you?
We were very fortunate that we've had some support from the Sustainability Challenge Fund in the National Park, who have helped us to work with local farmers to inoculate logs with shiitake sawdust spawn. They then look after the logs on their farms, and it's in its trial stages now. It'll take about a year and a half again for the spawn to grow through, but then we'll help the farmers to market the shiitake mushrooms when they grow.
Not far from here you've got the Myddfai, which had the physicians of Myddfai, and I believe some herb growers are now getting together in a herb growing cooperative. So it's all local.
That's true, yes. And some of the mushrooms that we grow, well, most of the mushrooms that we grow have really strong medicinal properties, particularly boosting the immune system. And we're hoping that in future we will be able to work with the people in Myddfai because we are in such similar fields and obviously so close to them.
And you're also producing your own mushroom-based pharmaceuticals, are you?
Again, it's something that is in the pipeline, but we're very keen, yes, to produce mushroom extracts. And some of those will be made more palatable with herbs. And again, we want to be looking to Myddfai to get our herbs from as local a source as possible. The range is to include shiitake, reishi, and tramates, which is a key player in the post-operative care of cancer in Japan. It accounts for something like a quarter of the money that they spend on post-operative care of cancer. It's something that is known about over here, but it's not produced in this country. And we aim to produce a source that is guaranteed, that is produced with no chemicals and with obviously full control of the quality of the product.
Is it an area that's good growing area for these shiitake mushrooms on the logs? Is it a naturally good area?
We're not absolutely ideal. We tend to find that it might take a little longer for the spawn to run through the logs and produce mushrooms than it would do, than the books tell us. It depends on the mushroom. I mean, some mushrooms love it here. You know, the Namiko mushroom that I was talking about, you can inoculate logs in the autumn and then find the mushrooms growing in the following spring.
And I assume those logs would be out in the forest, would they?
They need to be in shade. On the farms that we're looking at for the farm trials, then they're usually under cover because that's the easiest way to leave them if you've got a number of logs. But we also sell individual logs to people who want to grow them at home, and then any kind of shade, any kind of situation is suitable. I mean, we've got people who've got them on balconies, we've got logs in Shetland, we've got a few on Mull, we've got them right down south, but they're all over the place.
So it's not just Wales, it's universally UK.
Absolutely, yes. So they go to the Channel Islands, and they've been all over the place. We know we've got logs fruiting on Fair Isle, which is about as remote as you can get in the UK. And obviously they go to Wales as well, as I say, through mail order. Then they go all over the UK. How do people get hold of your system for mail order? Have you got a website? The website is at www.jackbythestool.co.uk. That was Joy Edwards ending our stories for today. You can find out more about Humongous Fungus at www.jack, spelt Jac, by-the-stole, which is spelt stowl.co.uk, or email them at mushrooms.jack@virgin.net. For information on food and agricultural products from Wales, www.foodwales.com. If you want to find out what's going on in Cardiff, go to www.cardiff.gov.uk. And a reminder of the new website exclusively for Celtic Notes listeners to register for their free special Wales pack, www.celticnotes.visitwales.com. You can find us at wri.cymru.net, and Cymru is spelt Cymru, where you can listen to recent Celtic Notes programmes in MP3 and get details of all our shortwave and satellite transmissions. Our address is Wales Radio International, Crymych, that's CRYMYCH, Pembrokeshire, SA41 3QE, Wales, UK. And don't forget, if you want to listen to anything special from Wales or have any Welsh music requests, just email us on jenny@wri.cymru.net. We do hope you can tune in to next week's programme on this channel at the same time, when we'll have more of the people and music of Wales. Celtic Notes is a Preseli radio production for Wales Radio International. I'm Jenny O'Brien.